Quinnipiac on midterm House races shows Democrats leading Republicans 52% to 38%. Pretty big lead there. Joining us now, David McIntosh, Club for Growth president. All right, David, now your organization, you guys say that there's other data out there that suggests that these races are going to be a lot tighter and even tight enough for Republicans to pull some of them off?
Yes, Charles. We did an extensive poll of 40 different House incumbents who are on the bubble, if you will. They're the swing races with 7-point or less lead for Republicans. And what it showed was they actually still have a slight lead, plus 2% overall. But more importantly, these are mixed rural and suburban districts. And so they've got a problem with suburban Republicans not liking Trump. And they also have a problem with rural Republicans not being motivated to come out and vote. In fact, that lack of interest, there's about a 12-point advantage for the Democrats in our poll. They're more interested in coming and voting, and if they show up and the Republicans don't, then they're going to end up winning. We also found some key issues that help motivate Republicans to vote, do more tax cuts, support the president's agenda on ICE and the border, and frankly support the president if they're threatening to impeach him. And then we found some issues that will help win the persuadables, the skeptic Republicans, the independents, and the few movable Democrats. Again, tax cuts was the #1 issue that helped win those over to the Republican side. Well, so the bottom line is it's still winnable. It's tough. It's a tough environment. But they have to run smart, skillful campaigns that stress the issues that are successful for them.
Well, interest, okay, that's normal, right? The party out of power typically has the most motivation, and particularly now, more so than ever, perhaps, because already President Trump has been able to appoint a significant amount of federal judges. He's got potentially a lot of Supreme Court judges if he serves 2 terms. How do you individualize this theme then? In other words, these are pretty broad. They cover a lot of area. Do you go to each individual candidate and say, hey, reshape, or you potentially should reshape your message this way?
What our poll had enough data in it that you could break it down by districts, or not districts, I'm sorry, by regions. So, for example, in the Midwest, focus on the economy, focus on tax cuts that'll keep jobs, focus on cutting back regulations that'll build jobs here in America. In other areas in the South and some of the other swing districts, focus on the immigration issue. Now, that's not a Club for Growth issue, but it does motivate the Republican voters in rural and suburban areas. They don't want to see sanctuary cities, for example, because to suburban voters, that means crime's going to be coming out to the suburbs if they don't prosecute the criminals.
What about the simplicity of the message? Again, we're seeing retail sales through the roof. We're seeing consumer sentiment and consumer confidence through the roof, approaching levels not seen in 30 years. We're seeing all of these things happening. And listen, I drive by anecdotally and I see help wanted signs everywhere, from strip malls, everywhere I go. It's out there. It just seems like it needs to be nudged and highlighted by politicians who, for whatever reason, seem incapable of doing that.
The Republican message, you're right, should be simplified. Look, if you want to give up this economic growth, the jobs that are created, your kids are going back to school, your 401k is growing, your retirement is healthy again. If you want to risk all of that, then put the Democrats back in power, because we know their agenda will stop that growth. In fact, they'll start taxing you and taking it away from you.
All right, David, always great to talk to you, buddy. See you soon.
Thank you.
Now there's this sign.